Live? Okay. Go ahead and open our meeting. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody to Wednesday, November 6th, regular commission meeting. I will open our meeting with any public comment on any subject that's within the commissioner's jurisdiction is not on the agenda. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment?
I have an announcement.
Okay.
I just want to remind everybody, excuse me, everybody, the courthouse building is closed Monday, November 11th for Veterans Day.
All right, good. And I guess I want to say a shout out to Angie and her crew for an amazing job.
Yes.
Elections. I know you guys are tired. So.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Fulford, for all of your support through this election, and to all you guys, we literally could not have done it without your support
All right,
and encouragement.
So we got a little bit left to go. We got to do the votes and some things there in the next couple of weeks, right? So
yeah, we are working through our provisionals now. We have a couple days to complete those, and we will do a final result next week sometime. So,
all right.
yeah, and then the audit and the canvas.
Audit
so there's
and
still a
canvas.
lot of work to do.
Yeah. All right, very good.
Can I add, also, some friends of mine were election judges. I didn't even know they were. So thank you for the general public who volunteer to do the trainings, spend very long days and evenings with their commitment to it. And another thank you to Bill and Ken, our maintenance guys. They have to haul stuff to the locations and haul it back on a day that they kind of typically have off. And so I just want to publicly thank Ken and Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'll tag on to that because they were at
They're great.
my fingertips last night. Thank God. I texted them and they were there and they helped haul the heavy stuff. And so I was very grateful. And to the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were also there when we needed them last night. So
All right, perfect.
Sandon and his crew. Yeah.
Good deal. All righty, we will move on to our first agenda item. Johnny Spurlock, Detention Center Jail Commander, Inmate Excess Medical Insurance and Claims Administration. Johnny.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like he said, I'm Johnny Spurlock with the Broward County Sheriff's Office. I'm the jail commander. This is just a renewal of a contract agreement, I guess, if you will, for inmate access to medical. They help cover up most of our costs for our inmates only. The only difference from the last couple years that we've signed this is it went up a few cents from $1.13 to $1.19. There's just a little bit of a raise, but other than that, there's not much of a difference of what we have.
All right, good. And I see this is something we've been doing the past couple of years is the option for security and guarding.
Yes,
And maybe
correct.
explain to everybody what that is.
So I'm not big on this part. This is the first year I've kind of dealt with this part, but it's just once combined $10,000 medical and guarding deductible is met, the coverage pays 50% of those costs for the inmates.
Right. But, I mean, I think what people don't understand is when we have an inmate that has to be taken someplace, we have to have a deputy sit with them.
Correct. Yep.
And this helps.
Yep.
Cover
Yep.
some of
We
those
had, I'd say probably 3 or 4 years ago, we sat on an inmate in the hospital for probably 2 to 3 weeks with 12-hour rotations between detention and deputies. So
Yeah, so it's good. It's well worth having it. All right, any questions or comments for Johnny? No? All right, is there a motion?
Oh, go ahead, Debbie. Sorry, go ahead.
I would move to approve the inmate excess medical claims and or claims administration management for 2024 and 25.
I will second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the inmate excess medical insurance and or claims administration management 24-25 agreement. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you, guys.
You got something for me to sign?
Yep.
And I got a copy, but it might
And
not
then
be the
I'll
right one.
forward it to you guys in an email once I give it to these guys as well.
Okay. Oh. I'm not sure what goes there. Broadwater County?
Yep. Awesome.
There you
Thank you,
go.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny.
I'm not sure you asked people to sign.
Oh, yeah.
There's some people that haven't.
All right. For those that have just come in, there's a sign-in sheet in the back. We need to sign in, please. And when, if you're speaking, please say and spell your name for the clerk and recorder for the record. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda was the Fraser boundary relocation exemption request, and I believe that's being postponed for further review, correct? Okay. Moving on. Nicole Brown, Community Development Planning Director, Mandenhar Family Transfer Exemption Request.
Thank you, Commissioners. We're a few minutes early on this agenda item. Are you okay with me continuing?
What do we got, about 3 minutes?
4.
4?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then we'll wait.
Okay.
It'd be great if they were here
Yeah.
to answer some questions.
They, Mr. Chairman, they will not be present at today's meeting. I just spoke with the surveyor. So the surveyors are here, but I know that typical with family transfers, you do require the owners to be here so they can swear in and testify. Well, I don't know if testify is the appropriate word.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm going to take a seat for 3 more minutes.
Okay, do that. In the meantime, we will do some mail. So we received a notice from the Montana DEQ, and it's the department's intention to issue a wastewater discharge permit for the Montana Ore Minerals Corporation, and that is up in Libby, Montana. So if you have an interest in that, that will be on file in the Commissioner's office. We also received the MBAC quarterly reports, and those also will be on file. And have an interest in reading those. And we might as well do our claims, huh? We have one claim. It's our payroll claim. $324,297.27.
I move to approve payroll claims for $324,297.27.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the payroll claims, the amount of $324,297.27. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, can the polls go ahead and proceed?
Chairman Fulford, Commissioners Randolph and Rickmeyer, my imminent question is, with the absence of the landowners, would you like me to proceed with reading the staff report into the record, or?
We'll do what we can.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Perfect, okay. So you have before you a copy of the Manandhar Riley affidavit for a family transfer exemption request. You also should have the survey, as well as my staff report and the supplemental documents that were sent by the surveyor's office. So with that, and excuse me, I'm Nicole Brown, the Broadwater County Community Development Director. I should have started there. I'm going to read into the record the staff report for the family transfer from Ginger Manandhar. So this is to the Broadwater County Commissioners from myself. The deadline for the governing body to take action is November 15th, 2024. The applicant is Ginger Manandhar of Townsend, Montana. Executive summary. The subject property is 16.989 acres in size with access from Valley Drive, which is not a county road. The parcel is currently owned by Ginger Manandhar, whom is requesting to utilize the family transfer exemption to gift an 8.4 acre parcel identified as Tract A to her father, Marion Orville Riley. Family transfer statutes. Montana Code Annotated 763207-1B provides that a division outside of a platted subdivision for the purpose of a single gift or sale in each county to each member of the landowner's immediate family, unless the method of disposition is adopted for the purpose of evading this chapter. Request. The owner of the parcel is requesting approval of the use of the family transfer exemption. Location. The property is located off of Valley Drive in Section 3, Township 7 North, Range 1 East, Broadwater County, Montana. Existing development and uses. Currently, there are 2 home sites on the parcel. Adjacent land use to the north is residential. To the east is a U.S. highway and residential. To the south and west are residential. Project uses. Wastewater. The 16.989 acre parcel has been reviewed by DEQ and approved for 2 home sites on November 13th, 2023. According to the exemption used on the certificate of survey, the reviewing authority may exclude these parcels created by a division of land since they have previous approvals issued under Title 76, Chapter 4, Part 1, MCA, and no facilities other than those previously approved will be constructed on the parcel, and the division of land will not cause approved facilities to deviate from the condition of approval in violation of 76.4.130 MCA. Access. The property is located north of Valley Drive. Since Valley Drive is not a county road, no approach permits are required. Water. There are existing exempt wells for each of the 2 home sites. And sir, madams, I realize that is incorrect after speaking with the sanitarian. So I would like to amend my staff report if I may. There is 1 shared well for both homes. So I apologize. I did not amend my staff report after speaking with the sanitarian on that fact. So regarding water, there is 1 shared well for each of the 2 home sites to share. The provision of water for any future development will be subject to review and approval by the Department of Natural Resources and Conservation, DNRC, utilizing the exempt well requirements for a residential structure. Public health and safety. The proposed division has the potential to have adverse impacts on public health and safety as follows. Number 1, no fire protection is located in the vicinity of the subject property. The nearest fire protection system is located in the town site of Townsend. Number 2, since there is no review by the Townsend schools, there's no consideration for a school bus turnaround, which could pose a safety hazard for any future students. Number 3, the proximity to U.S. Highway 287, U.S. Highway 12 could prove hazardous as this is a very busy highway. All travelers exiting and entering the highway from Valley Drive should use caution. Conclusion. Pursuant to 763207-1B MCA, which states, unless the method of disposition is adopted for the purpose of evading this chapter, the following divisions are not subdivisions under this chapter. Subitem B, divisions made outside of platted subdivisions for the purpose of a single gift or sale in each county to each member of the landowner's immediate family. According to the Broadwater County Subdivision Regulations 9C1B3, for the purposes of this exemption, gift or sale to a member of the immediate family member means a spouse, child by blood or adoption, and parent of the grantor. On July 19, 2024, an affidavit of surviving joint tenant to terminate joint tenancy interest of decedent was recorded at 2:23 p.m. in Broadwater County. This affidavit essentially transferred this parcel from Dolores Riley to Ginger Manentar and Gina Albiston as joint tenants with rights of survivorship upon the passing of Dolores on April 12, 2023. Ginger and Gina are the daughters of the late Dolores Riley. On July 19, 2024, at 2:24 p.m., Ginger Manentar and Gina Albiston filed a quitclaim deed transferring this parcel to Ginger Manentar and Anuj Manentar. On October 10, 2024, Ginger Manentar and Anuj Manentar filed a quitclaim deed transferring this parcel to Ginger Manentar. There are currently 2 homes on this parcel, one owned by Mary and Orville Riley, and one owned by Ginger and Anuj Manentar. There is an easement depicted along the southern boundary of Tract A and a portion of Tract B for Valley Drive. Where Valley Drive intersects U.S. Highway 287, U.S. Highway 12, the easement is 60 feet wide, then becomes a 30-foot wide easement all along the southern boundary of Tract A and a portion of Tract B. And that concludes my staff report. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I also have some emails from Megan Bullock, our Broadwater County Environmental Health Officer, regarding this parcel. If you would like me to read those into the record now, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay. I find the most recent one. Okay. So the email I have is from Megan Bullock, who is our Broadwater County Environmental Health Officer. This email is dated Friday, November 1st. Megan states, Nicole, DEQ approval was granted for the 2 dwellings in November 2023, so using the exemption ARM 1736-6052B is appropriate. However, the approval was for a shared well. Division of the property isolates Tract A from the water source. Now that the property is being split and will be owned by 2 different parties, an easement from Tract A to the wellhead is required in addition to a shared water user agreement. Commissioners, that same day, Friday, November 1st, I sent an email to the surveyor on this project, Dan Swenson, forwarding these comments, Megan's comments on to him. Mr. Swenson responded the same day, again, Friday, November 1st, stating, and this is to me, it says, Nicole, I do not believe an easement and agreement will be a problem, but if it is, I will let you know, and we'll get a new COS to you as soon as possible with the well easement on it. And I believe I've shared these emails with the commissioners, or at least with Megan Bullock, letting her know that this was coming. I may not have forwarded on to the commissioners, actually, now that I say that, but I did forward it on to Megan. And I just want to let you know that as of me walking over to this meeting this morning, I have not received an updated survey, nor have I received an agreement per the request of our environmental health officer. Shared water user agreement. So, and as previously stated, the owners, neither Ginger Manentar nor Marion Orville Riley, are present today to lend more information on that. However, representatives from Schaber Surveying are here should you have specific questions of them.
Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and start. So this tract seems to have a pretty good history to it. I guess that's where some of my questions are. I guess my first question is, when Dolores Riley passed away, it went to Ginger and Gina rather than her husband, which I guess is family dynamic. I don't quite understand why that would have happened, but it did. And then there was a quitclaim deed transferring it to Ginger and Anuj, And then another transferring it to Ginger. And then here we are, we're trying to transfer it to Orville. I wish they were here. I mean, I'd like to know the reason for that.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
ask a question? Can we, without the water, without the COS, with the, showing the easement, the shared well easement, and the shared well agreement, what happens with the timeline on this?
Chairman Fulford, may I respond?
Yes, you may.
Commissioner Rickmeyer, I believe that it would be typical for the clock to stop once that discovery has been made by staff or elected officials that there is an error on the plat,
Okay.
or on the certificate of survey, excuse me. So the clock would stop and restart at day one once the appropriate materials are received. In this instance, a corrected certificate of survey
Okay.
and shared well user agreement, because this was discovered again by staff that is missing. And as Ms. Bullock identified, it's according to ARM, which is
Right.
an important
And
consideration.
I think that's the other thing, that the separate arm needed to be cited for that, correct?
That is correct, sir. Yes.
All right, well, I guess if we have no other further information, I guess that's where we're at. You guys have any other comments or questions?
No, until we get until we get those requested items. In my mind, it's kind of on hold.
Okay.
And perhaps this could be on next week's agenda if you get it in time, the information. I don't know. Because the deadline's the 15th. We meet the 13th.
Chairman Fulford, may I respond?
Yes, you may.
Commissioner Randolph, actually, you would no longer have a deadline. The clock has,
Right,
Okay.
right.
for all intents and purposes, what I'm hearing from you commissioners and what I believe, and obviously with legal advice, if the certificate of survey is incorrect or missing information, the clock has stopped, and we no longer have a deadline, I guess is what I'm saying, because day one has not happened yet.
Correct.
Right. So wait till they get it and we'll start it again.
Correct.
Okay. Kate, do you have anything to add? Oh, your microphone's turned around.
Chairman Fulford, Kaylin Minor, Deputy County Attorney. I have nothing to add at this time. I previously expressed some concerns about this tract originally being created through a court-ordered split,
Oh, that's
but
correct.
without the landowner here to properly inform us of that, then I don't think we can really go forward on that. But just so you are tracking, sir, Chairman Fulford, that would kind of push us up against the criteria for review in our current subdivision regulations on page 98, where the commission is urged to scrutinize or consider whether in a subdivision exemption claim was used, which a court-ordered split is, to create the tract, and then if we're now doing another subdivision exemption, that may be something that would trigger a proper subdivision review, because you have multiple divisions that have all been exempted. In theory, I don't know what's going to happen with this one, but I think there's some evidence that there is one previous subdivision exemption used.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Kate. Okay, so, do we need a motion so that we stop the clock? Is that, no, let's go ahead and do that.
We need a motion to table Or does it even, no,
No.
nothing?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, I guess we will put it on our agenda when we get the information we need. Hopefully the man and ours can attend the next meeting. Okay, next on the agenda, Amundsen boundary relocation exempt request.
Commissioners, Nicole Brown, Broadwater County Community Development Director and Planner, here to present to you a boundary relocation request from the Amundsen Party, Wilbur Party, Gallineck Party, and Broadwater County is also named in this boundary relocation. So you should have in your possession a copy of 3 affidavits, one from Ms. Amundsen, one from Mr. and Mrs. Wilbur, and one from Mr. and Mrs. Gallineck, as well as a proposed certificate of survey. You also, I believe, are in receipt of some supplemental environmental health information, as well as an email from Megan Bullock, our environmental health officer, and my staff report, which I will now read into the record.
Okay.
And I'm noticing already there is a deadline, or the deadline is incorrect, so let me make sure I have the appropriate one on here. Okay. So this is a staff report to the Broadwater County Commissioners from myself, Nicole Brown. The deadline on your copy says October 7th. That is incorrect. The deadline for the governing body to take action is November 8th, 2024, and that is because the clock stopped while we were awaiting additional information. So that was the previous deadline when this was submitted to you. And then I received additional information, and the deadline is now November 8th. So with that, the applicants are Carla Amundsen of Townsend, Montana, Lanny and Patricia Wilbur of Townsend, Montana, and Bozadar and Julianne Gallineck of Townsend, Montana. Executive summary. The exemption request, as presented to the Broadwater County Commissioners, is a proposal to boundary relocate 10 lots for Carla Amundsen, 7 lots for Bozadar and Julianne Gallineck, and 3 lots for Lanny and Patricia Wilbur, all within the original town site of Springville. The Wilbur's lots and Gallineck's lots are in the amended Block 46. Amundsen's lots are in the amended Block 45. The boundaries of these lots will be relocated to aggregate a portion of 7th Street, or Big Sky Drive, into portions of each of these lots. In May of 2005, several residents of Springville were required to change their road names, specifically Main Street, 5th Street, 6th Street, and 7th Street, to comply with upgraded 911 addressing guidelines, as these road names were already being used in the townsite of Townsend. It was at this time that 7th Street in Springville was changed to Big Sky Drive. However, the historical original townsite of Springville plat still shows the road as 7th Street. For the purposes of this staff report, the road shall be referred to as 7th Street, Big Sky Drive, to reflect the Commissioner's action on May 22, 2024, as well as the certificate of survey being presented for consideration. On May 22, 2024, the Broadwater County Commissioners voted to approve the abandonment of 7th Street, more recently known as Big Sky Drive, from College Street to Springville Lane, reserving the right to a 20-foot utility easement. The purpose of this survey is to complete the Amundsen, Wilbur, and Gallinek request for road abandonment by relocating their property boundary lines to the center line of 7th Street, Big Sky Drive. Boundary relocation statutes. Montana Code Annotated 763207-1A provides for a boundary relocation outside of platted subdivisions. Since Springville was platted as an original town site, it is not a subdivision according to the MSPA, which stands for Montana Subdivision and Platting Act. Request. The owners of the parcels are requesting approval of the use of the boundary relocation exemption. Location. The properties are located off Springville Lane and College Street in Section 23, Township 7 North, Range 1 East, approximately 2.65 miles northwest of the city of Townsend. Existing development and uses. There is one home site belonging to Lanny and Patricia Wilbur on lots 8, 9, and 10 of Block 46. There is one home site belonging to Bozadar and Julianne Gallinek on lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Block 46. Lots 1 through 10 of Block 45 is vacant land. Adjacent use in all directions is residential. Project uses. Wastewater. All parcels are and will continue to be subject to review and/or approval from the Environmental Health Office and subject to 1736-9 of the Administrative Rules of Montana. Each individual septic system has been approved and permitted pursuant to the Broadwater County on-site wastewater treatment regulations. If any new structures are to be constructed, they will be required to be reviewed and approved by the Broadwater County Environmental Health Officer. Access. The properties are located directly south of College Street and north of Springville Lane, which is a county road. If any new approaches are to be added to Springville Lane, the landowner will be required to submit an approach permit application to the Broadwater County Public Works Department for review and approval. Water. The 2 existing homes likely have wells in place. No additional wells are being proposed at this time. Public health and safety. The proposed division has minimal potential to have adverse impacts on public health and safety since no new structures are being proposed. Conclusion. Pursuant to 763207-1 MCA, which states, unless the method of disposition is adopted for the purpose of evading this chapter, the following divisions or aggregations of tracts of record of any size, regardless of the resulting size of any lot created by the division or aggregation, are not subdivisions under this chapter, but are subject to the surveying requirements of 763401 for divisions or aggregations of land other than subdivision, and are subject to applicable zoning regulations adopted under Title 76, Chapter 2A, divisions made outside of platted subdivisions for the purpose of relocating common boundary lines between adjoining properties. A 20-foot wide utility easement is being created by this survey. This utility easement will run northwest to southeast down the center line of the boundaries of the proposed amended Block 46 and amended Block 45, with 10 feet being on either side of the property lines. And that concludes my staff report.
So I got a question, Nicole. You know, the new map that we just got this morning, this one here. On page 2, water, it says no additional wells are being proposed, and then also no new structure being proposed. But on here, it does show proposed home and well and septic. Am I misreading that?
No, sir, you are not misreading it. My staff report was based on information that I had when I wrote the staff report.
Okay.
But you're correct. In looking at that map that we received, I believe it came in yesterday, but of course the courthouse was closed and
Yep.
we were not working. So no, I have not amended my staff report to include the reflection of that map that you see.
All right.
Did that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very
Okay.
much. All right, so Lindsay, I know you had a question on the process of aggregation and relocation.
Yes, because I just, from our notes from our previous meeting, we had notes saying we needed new affidavits specific to boundary relocations. I don't know what we are able to do. All the affidavits we have don't talk about boundary relocations, they talk about aggregating lots. So we've got 2 separate things going on. I knew we wanted to do one and then the other. I'm not sure what we're allowed to do from that standpoint. I mean, and I know aggregation of lots might be something that they're wanting to do, obviously, per the affidavit. So I don't know, because if we have the affidavit for that, if we can do that, or if because it's not noticed correctly and we don't have that specifically written up for that purpose in the staff report, what we should be doing.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yes, Chairman Fulford, if I may respond to that. I did reach out to Bernadette Swenson on October 28th and let her know that we needed amended affidavits. And I have not received those from her. I don't know if Bernadette has them today. But I can let her speak to that, the amended affidavits, because the affidavits do state aggregation. And the survey itself shows boundary relocation. My staff report is based on boundary relocation. So yeah, there is that discrepancy there.
Okay.
Chairman Fulford, if I may continue, I also have an email from Megan Bullock.
Okay. Yes.
As I said that, I need to make sure I'm looking at the appropriate one, so bear with me for one moment. Okay. So if I may read that into the record as well.
Yes, you may.
Chairman. So this email is from Megan Bullock, our Broadwater County Environmental Health Officer. This was sent to all of us on Friday, all of us on the Certificate of Survey Review Committee, which is myself, all three commissioners, Kay Minor, Daleen Hansen. And the date on this is October 25th, 2024. All right, Megan states, Nicole, first of all, each of the affidavits clearly state the purpose of the survey is to aggregate parcels, aggregating 10 lots into one lot, and the surveyor's note specifically states the survey does not aggregate any of the lots. I'm not sure if this is important or not. The sanitation exemption cited is appropriate for a boundary location. However, in accordance with ARM 1736-6052C, they need to provide evidence the existing septic tanks have been pumped within the previous 3 years. Each parcel includes acreage sufficient to accommodate a replacement drain field. Existing wells are adequate, and that adequate storm drainage and solid waste disposal are provided. This can usually be done by submitting a lot layout with all the features, in addition to a copy of a receipt from a septic pumper. Let me know if you have any questions. And then this email, I did forward that email on to Bernadette Swenson, and my email to Bernadette summarized that, that essentially Megan had some issues with the septic part of it, and that the amended affidavits were needed. So I'm not certain. And then I did receive an email from Bernadette Swenson yesterday, November 5th, with the documents, and I did forward those on to the commission this morning, and that is the map you were referring to, Chairman Fulford. Documents for the sanitation, along with the septic permits. Ms. Swenson stated that the Wilbers will bring their receipt to the commission meeting today, and I don't know if Gallinex had their receipt for the septic pumping.
Okay. So do you think that some of that has been done?
I'm not certain. I am not in receipt of the Wilbers because according to Megan Bullock, they needed to provide evidence the existing septic tanks have been pumped within the previous 3 years.
Okay. Do we have that?
Yeah. Perfect. So I do have that, Commissioners, and I can pass that to you for you to take a look at. So this is Wilbur's Okay. And Galanex was in the packet that was emailed to you. Sorry, that was a hefty packet. So the only thing we are currently in need of are the corrected affidavits. And
Okay, so,
the appropriate ARM.
so there's a lot of research that Kay has done to help us arrive at our decision. We can turn this over to Kay.
Perfect, I'll take a seat.
Chairman Folkford, Kaylin Minor, Deputy County Attorney. I do have one follow-up question or concern, and that would be what the effect of including the administrative rule of Montana 17.36.6052C. It is included on the current survey under sanitation exclusions. However, in this email chain that was referenced by Director Brown, the system that it needs to be an installed system is what my understanding is.
Okay.
And here's the exact word. To qualify for this exemption, the system must be installed prior to filing the survey. So I'm wondering, again, if this system as proposed on this new document that the commission received, it is not yet installed on amended block 45, I don't know if it's proper to have that sanitation exemption
Oh, I see what you're
on
saying.
the survey until it's installed, or it needs to be, a caveat needs to be added, because we can't go ahead and say, yeah, sure, it's in if it's not.
Right,
That's just one other concern I had, sir.
all right, so, okay. Is that something that can be done? Can they be separated on a COS for? Just no less? I'll have to ask Bernadette that question.
It is scheduled to be put in, we're just waiting. I mean, it'll
Yeah.
be put in before it's filed.
Okay,
Bernadette Swenson from Schauber Surveying, SWENSON. It has scheduled, I've even visited with Brandon Bakken. He thought it was going to be in last week. He just must have been delayed. But Carla does have a permit with Megan and has been working with them, and that was supposed to have been installed. And
okay.
I don't know exactly what came up, but I have been in contact with him.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks for that, Kay. All right.
Chairman Folkford, would you like to know about the little bit of research we had to do?
Yes, I would,
Okay.
please. I think everybody would like to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So Kaylin Minor again, Deputy County Attorney. And what I needed to look into, basically to summarize, we know that this is the Springville town site. It was recognized by the Department of Interior back in 1871. And Nicole and I tried to find that plat. We couldn't find that one, but we got to the 1898 plat, which is when they brought it over from Jefferson County to Broadwater County. The original landowner may have been a Mr. Bayless. And this is important because the real question here today about whether or not this is something that we can even do, the commissioners can even rule upon as a commission, really goes back to the question of who owns the land underneath the roadway. So the Springville plat was created. We talked about that. On the original filed plat, this is research that Nicole and I had to conduct, and I believe that the commissioners even have in the original petition to abandon the road a copy of this 1979 survey. It's a resurvey, actually. And it's really important to note, though, that on that 1979 resurvey, as well as the 1898 plat, there is no language creating a public roadway easement or right-of-way. And that's important because without that language, we are not allowed to read in language that's missing or omitted. We can't just say, oh, they must have meant that way back in the day. We're not allowed to do that, and you can't do that in a court of law either. You have to look at what's on the map, for lack of a better word, right? So additionally, there's no language making a transfer of fee property to the public. Okay, why am I talking about this? Without going back and forth, it really gets to who owns the underlying lands in Springville. according to the plat of that unincorporated town site. And the next question is then, that for the commission to determine is, how does the governing body determine the property boundaries of the land once the road or alley easement is abandoned? And that's where we're addressing that today with the boundary relocation, with this whole process. But what I'm getting to is, without any language, Chairman Folkford, that this is a fee property to the public, meaning that when they developed this plat way back in 1898, or 71, it was it was actually incorporated and then unincorporated. Without doing that, that means the landowner, maybe Bayless, maybe somebody else, didn't give the county the actual land. They didn't say, this is the counties, this is the cities, this is X, Y, or Z. So the default, and this is where it's really confusing, because it doesn't say in statute, like it says for many other land ownership and situations that arise, it doesn't say what you do in an unincorporated town or town site. Of course it doesn't. Of course not, right? But that's okay, because we're going to look at provisions in our statutes, Montana Code Annotated 70-16-202 and 70-20-307, as well as case law that's related, although not exactly factually similar, but it's very close enough to be a good case for us for this. And what that says, and we weren't able to use the Title 60 provisions that Ms. Swenson and I discussed with Nicole. That takes us a little bit too far off from what we're actually dealing with here. But 70 hits it right on the nose. An owner of land bounded by a road or street is presumed to own to the center thereof, but the contrary may be shown. So that's that basic premise, and we've all heard that, actually. I think Bernadette and Nicole and I talked about that in Nicole's office one day. But that's where we're going to have to go to, Chairman Folkford, okay, because we don't have any evidence to the contrary at this time. Basically, there's no language on any of the plats that we have for Springville. We're going to have to default to that. And there are multiple cases in Montana case law, one being Bailey v. Ravalli County. Another one is Knutson v. Schroeder. And both of those cases dealt with, if you have land and there's an easement on top of it, there's a burden on the land. When you take the burden off, which is what we've done in this case as well, who owns the underlying land? And that's the ultimate legal question. And we're just going to have to default to it being owned by the landowners who are abutting where that easement used to be. That's the best that I can do for you, sir, based on what I found in the absence of a statute that specifically addresses it.
All right, good.
Really long story, but it's really important because we have so many unincorporated town sites. This could happen again tomorrow in our county, and we want to make sure that the public understands and legal understands the basis for taking all of these actions.
All right, very good. Great research, Kay. Thank you very much. I think that helps us out. I mean, I look at it as layers, right? We have the original land, and we have the layer that was the encumbered street. We removed that when we did the abandonment. Mm-hmm. So now we're down to the original layer.
Correct.
Which would allow the adjoining landowners to do that. But the other thing that's important, we still have our 20-foot utility easement through the center of that. So I hope everybody understands that. Okay.
And Chairman Folkford, I will just add that it's important for us to do this proper research, because obviously if we can't tell who owns it, right, then the county doesn't have any legal mechanism for executing a quitclaim or a warranty deed. We cannot do anything if we don't know what that clear chain of title is. And going forward with any sort of petitions to abandon a county road or to discontinue a street or alley in an unincorporated town or town site, any petition is going to have to be accompanied, pardon me, I couldn't find my words, by proof of ownership status of that land. Mm-hmm. Because for the county to have to individually research it, that's a lot of time. It took about a full week. It's not easy to find this stuff. And I think that the best person, the person with the most interest in understanding the clear chain of title, is obviously going to be the landowner. Sure. So that's something that's going to be required, and that's not meant to be a hardship or a burden. It just, we need deeds, plats, or other records that are available to make that distinction so that we can properly go forward as a county and not, miss something because we're on a deadline to do quick and fast research.
Right.
So, and then one more thing is, I forgot what I was going to say, sir. Darn it. Shut me up.
All right, so after hearing that, so that comes back to kind of the question that Lindsay had. So are we aggregating the property to the abutting landowners through a boundary relocation? Is that?
Chairman Folkford, I believe that could be one way to describe what's happening, and I always want to point to a visual, but you are allowing their boundary to move, towards that center where that road used to be. And so it is increasing or changing. That land is going to be there. But more specifically, aggregation in this context and in the context of the petition, I believe, the subdivision exemption claim petition or application, is aggregation of lots. Now that is where you see clearly on all these maps.
Right.
Like Miss Amundsen has 10 lots, and if she wants to aggregate them, she can make them all into one. So it's two very different processes, and I do believe that the county needs to be precise as to what process is being asked for and what process is being granted. It is not clear at this time exactly what is being asked for. I mean, I think we all understand it.
Right.
But for record's sake, I think we should get a clarified petition so that there's no question as to the action you took and if that action was proper and in line with what the request was.
Very good. Yeah, that makes sense for me. So.
And I would advise no action, Chairman Folkford, until that is cleared up, along with the possible issue of the septic system install.
Okay, so those are the two things.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
If they are wanting to aggregate lots, will those have to be two separate items? We already have the affidavits for the aggregation. We will need separate affidavits for boundary relocation. Those would be like two separate agenda items. We can't just do both of those in one fell swoop, is what we're saying. Okay.
Was that a yes? Sorry.
Chairman Folkford, if I may respond, sir?
Yes, you may.
Yes, the way we have it in our subdivision exemption claim process is we're going to do one process at a time. It's not because of this particular case, but numerous cases in the past, there were just too many moving parts and it became unclear. Additionally, if one application can be approved, such as a boundary relocation is proper, but maybe an aggregation isn't, for some reason unbeknownst to me, I would rather a petitioner have separate applications so we can at least do some part of what their request is. Chairman Folkford.
Okay. Very good.
We could put both of those on an agenda together as two separate items with separate affidavits for each request, correct?
Chairman Folkford,
Yeah.
yes, it would have to be separate.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I would just add a comment. I guess it may seem like we're being very picky about how this is done, but we have learned things that were completed in the past were not very clear, and then we're making assumptions and guesses. So we try very hard not to do that to the future residents and the future commissioners and the future planners and everybody. So that's a lot of the motivation for this.
It is important because what will happen is at some point in the future it will be challenged, and we don't want you folks to have to go through this again. So, please be patient and we'll get it right. Guess that's all I can say. Okay. Thank you very much.
Your receipt was sitting
So,
right here.
I guess, oh, yeah.
Thanks.
So we'll be waiting for the updated affidavits, correctly?
Chairman Fulford, that would be a prudent course of action for that clarity piece that we are striving for. And so again, like you said, so our constituents, our residents have a very clear, this is what happened on this day, da, 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 and they can just track it down forever and ever more.
Yeah.
And additionally, I trust absolutely what Mrs. Swinson said and what Mrs. Amundsen is going to have happening with that installation
Okay.
by Mr. Bakken.
Bakken, yeah.
However, again, if that's going to happen in the next week, getting proof of that would be prudent because we definitely don't want to approve a survey that we know is not technically correct at this time.
All right.
I don't think that's a good practice, even though we trust 100% what people are presenting to the commission.
All right, Carl, you're gonna have to go talk to Brandon. He's a hard guy to get going, I know, but he does great work.
He does.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that everybody knew, we were very clear what the next steps were. Okay? Everybody, any questions from anybody? No? Okay. All right. Nicole.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right, anything else come before the commission?
I don't have anything.
No?
I don't think
We took care of all of our other business, so with that, we're adjourned. 10:56. Thank you, everybody, for coming.